might notice that. We got 3 yellow airplanes. We got yellow airplanes hanging all over the place. That must mean something. And it does. It means training. I'll explain that to you in just a minute. But first of all, let's talk about the Blue Angels. Hanging overhead up here is 4 Blue Angel airplanes. 3 of those 4 airplanes actually did fly with the Blue Angels. We'll talk about the Blue Angels in just a second. It's 1 generation back. It's the Douglas A4 Skyhawk. 1 generation back from what they're flying right now. You might have noticed when they came in here that my ticker started picking up a little bit in speed. That is the airplane that I flew when I was in the Navy. And just a quick little personal thing, I researched all 4 of those airplanes, and the front one is actually in my squadron. I couldn't believe it. I got 11 landings on the forestall and about 26, 27 hours in the airplane. So that's why the old ticker picks up in speed a little bit when I come in here. But I just love that airplane. That was the most fun airplane, but didn't have a fun mission that I flew. The most maneuverable airplane that I flew my entire 34-year career. Okay, to the Blue Angels. What I like to do with the Blue Angels, I think, is the most efficient way to do it. I'll just give you some basic FAQs, frequently asked questions, and then turn it over to you and let you ask me questions, rather than me bore you with a bunch of stuff you don't want to know about, take up a lot of time. The Blue Angels have been around for a long time. We researched that last summer before last now, and sure enough, they are the oldest aerobatic team in the United States. There are a few people here that think they're oldest in the world. I doubt that, but they definitely are the oldest aerobatic team in the United States. 1946. They were founded in early January 1946, and they were an offshoot of World War II, as you might have guessed. What they wanted to do in Washington, the brass wanted to do in there. World War II came to an end in the fall of 1945. They wanted to take these airplanes, a lot of airplanes colored like you see over there. We're headed toward World War II airplanes, and maybe 3, 4, 5 different types of airplanes. Get some Navy pilots in them and fly around the country, especially in the Midwest, and show them the airplanes that the taxpayers bought that turned the war around. Well, a lot of people, I was a little kid then, I didn't know much what was going on with the Navy, except they flew some neat-looking airplanes. They had these little model airplanes. So that was the plan. They were called the Naval Flight Exhibition Team. And they figured they'd disband before the end of 1946. Well, they caught on, Navy pilots being what they are, and as the narrator will say in some of his presentations in a Blue Angels air show, they got bored, probably about the 2nd or 3rd town. I'd say probably the 2nd town. They got bored, so let's let them know that we're coming. So they set up a little show where they would come down the main drag, the street, we'll go to another town, Albuquerque, New Mexico. That was one of the cities that they went to. Went down the main street and had some wing-overs and chandelles and overhead maneuvers that they did, and they were pretty good. Their reputation just skyrocketed. This is still 1946, not even summer yet. Skyrocketed enough that by the end of the year, bigger cities were asking these Navy pilots, can you come and give us your air show? They weren't even calling it an air show. And they said, yeah, bigger cities like New York City, Cleveland, I think Boston did, I'm not sure about Boston. Cleveland, Chicago, Albuquerque, San Francisco, all the way across the whole country. They started going to bigger and bigger shows, and these specially selected guys were really, really enjoying it. And they didn't like this name Naval Flight Exhibition Team at all, so they started a contest. Now, back up just a little bit. You had to have special qualifications to be a Blue Angel then, just as you do now, past a lot of examinations and so forth. One of the primary requirements to be a Blue Angel then, it's not a requirement now, is you had to be a bachelor to be in this group that was going to be gone all the time. You had to be a bachelor. So one of the suggestions that was given for a name for the Naval Flight Exhibition Team was the Blue Bachelors. The history of that is something else. I don't think that would have sold too well today at all. They almost became the Blue Lancers, but then the Blue Angels themselves settled in on the, they really liked the Blue Angels, and it has stuck. They settled in on that name. Early in the game, 1947, I think. That name has stuck, and I think it's been a good one. Size of the squadrons, another frequently asked question. We get about 132, I think, this year, I've been told. It varies between 130 to 135 in the squadron. about the same size as the A4 squadron. I was in the Navy, and pretty much set up the same way, with a commanding officer, executive officer, administration officer, maintenance officer, and so forth. Just like an operating fleet squadron. One of the big difference, well, the only really big difference I saw, they have their own flight surgeon, which makes sense. If one of the guys, yeah, you might be one. That makes sense, because if the guys are out someplace in the tour or somebody's giving an air show, and one of the guys gets heavy congestion, you know that, you don't want to fly with heavy congestion. They grounded 2 of them just here last month on nasal congestion. Or dings his finger, or maybe breaks his finger, the flight surgeon is going to determine. And what he says is gospel. He can't fly tomorrow. So that's the end of that. The 17 or so boiled down to 132 in the squadron, 17 officers, and 12 of them are aviators. I've got to have non-aviators in the squadron, well, the flight surgeon, but some of them are aviators too. Are you going to flight school too?
Yeah, we've flown, but not considered a pilot.
But not carrier qualification, no?
Right.
Oh, okay.
No, we're not.
No. Okay, I didn't think so. But there have been a few, as you know, Joe Curran and some of them that he went through with me, that also naval aviators and flight surgeons. But anyway, you got to have non-aviators in the squadron, besides the flight surgeon, the maintenance officer, the administrative officer, the PIO officers, and other things that aviators don't like to do, or too dumb to do, or something. So you got 17, you got 4 or 5 guys that are non-aviators. They've flown in 8 different types of airplanes from 1946 all the way up to now. Between 1946 and 1947, they flew in 2 propeller-driven airplanes. We're going to see both of them as they head off this way. And in 1949, they transitioned into jets and have flown in jets ever since. One of the best is right back here. I didn't point it out to you, but that's the noise area over there for some reason. But that was probably one of the best planes of the Korean conflict. It's an F-9F Cougar. When it was the second Blue Angel, it was a Blue Angels airplane also. By the time I came in the Navy in 1961, it was a trainer plane, advanced training down in Bayville, Texas. I made my first carrier landing in a jet in that airplane. My first carrier landings in a propeller-driven plane, with this plane overhead right here, T-28 Trojan. That's enough about the squadron. Quickly about the air show. How many people have seen the Blue Angels air show? It's fun. It's not even quite half. It's a little over half. Okay, well, what kind of speeds are you looking at in a Blue Angels air show, or any kind of a military air show? The Thunder Chickens, Thunderbirds. Always comes out wrong. Thunderbirds have the same speed. So any kind of a military air show, or jet air show, what kind of speed are you looking at? Speed range. It varies from about 100, changes from knots to miles per hour, so it means something to you. 120 miles per hour to 700 miles per hour, which is another way of saying just above landing speed to just below supersonic speed. Now, these planes are capable, our present planes, I told you this is just one generation back. The present plane that the Blue Angels are flying is right out there outside the window looking at us through the window, the FA-18, certainly capable of going supersonic, and it's almost twice the speed of sound that airplane can fly. They're capable of doing it, but the FAA is not going to like that at all. If you break the sound barrier as an aviator, you're probably going to lose all your licenses and not be able to fly. You're certainly going to be disciplined very heavily on your past record. So you don't want to break the sound barrier. That's why you don't see any of these air shows that you've seen go into the air show. They'll come up and nibble at the speed of sound. You'll probably see them about 700 miles per hour. The speed of sound here at sea level, Pensacola, on the standard day and all that, is about 740 miles per hour. You had a question?
Yeah, up in Traverse City, Michigan, we saw them, and I don't know whether they broke the sound barrier or not, but they blew out 4 or 5 shop windows on the fast flyby, the Blue Angels. One of the solo pilots came in behind the crowd. So, about 8-9 years ago.
Here?
No, Traverse City, Michigan. I don't know whether he broke the sound barrier or not, but I know he blew out windows.
Traverse City, Michigan, Europe?
Traverse City, Michigan, yeah, exactly.
He probably has a lot of explaining to do.
News said he caught some flack.
That might explain why one of the Blue Angels vanished that year. No, that's pretty unusual. But what I was getting at was some of what you're talking about. We didn't have those same restrictions on the aircraft carrier. Now, we give I was on the USS Forrestal, we would give air shows similar to the Blue Angels air shows. The same type of thing. We're out in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, FAA, not looking over our shoulder, we do anything we want to. There's nothing like being on one of those huge metal ships like an aircraft carrier, get hit by 4 or 5 sonic booms, one right after the other. When you got visiting VIPs and heads of state, you get a lot of that. That are on the ship. Boy, they'd come up right out of their seats. I'm sure thought they were being assassinated or something. That's kind of interesting. Other things as far as the show, another frequently asked question we get. This formation over here, now most of you have seen a Blue Angels air show. This is their signature formation. It's the diamond formation. When the 6 of them fly together, like I think they're going to do it up in Annapolis this week. I believe they're up there now. That's where they're not in town now. It's called the Delta formation. There'll be 6 of them. And the other 2 airplanes are called opposing solos, except when they join up with these guys. Then they're called the Delta formation. They're opposing solos. So there's 6 of them that are in the air show. Frequently asked question we get here at the museum, only twice today so far. Do those airplanes really fly that close together? The Blue Angels. You're right, the answer is no. They don't fly that close together, much closer. But I'll qualify that statement with in that maneuver that they're in right there. They're not in a violent maneuver right now. They're in a shallow dive in the diamond formation. So that they're not pulling G's or anything like that. If they were actually the Blue Angels, the number as far as how close they'd be together would be 18 inches. That's the number you know, and that's the number that the Blue Angels put out too. 18 inches when they're in that kind of maneuver. What they want to do is look like one airplane. It doesn't happen usually till near the end of the year. When they're a different team in March than they are in November. The season runs from March to November. When they get over the center point of the field, which here is a white bus, they want to look like one airplane as they come over that center point. And it's a beautiful thing to watch in November when they give their show here. And they really look that way. And they figure out all of the geometry and everything on that thing, that if they're 18 inches, at that point they would be like one airplane. So that's the reason for that. With that, I'll turn it over to you rather than bore you with a bunch of other stuff I can get into.